Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. It's another wonderful Wednesday. I say that every week, but it is. It's in the middle of the week, and it's always wonderful, at least for me. I'm hoping that you've had an awesome day. If not, you're going to have one in just a few minutes because guess what? You have joined the Power of Transformation broadcast. And you are with Dr. Paula Obie. I'm your host. And I'm here today to have wonderful conversation and just to discuss things that are important to our world. You know, this broadcast is based on Romans 12 and 2, where we shall be transformed, and I paraphrase, by the renewing of your mind. And you know what I say every week as I'm grabbing for my phone? I want you to text your friends. I want you to tag them. I want you to call them. Why? I want you to tell them that the Power of Transformation broadcast is on and they do not want to miss it. You know, I'll give you a few minutes to do that and I'll do it myself. And then we will be back in just a few minutes. I'll see you soon.
Pound 5. Pound 5.
I have been busy, texting, calling, tagging, and I hope you've done the same thing because we have an amazing guest tonight. I mean, amazing. She's an amazing role model. There's just so many things I could say about her. However, I'm going to give her, of course, an opportunity to talk and tell us a lot about herself. Her name is Chanel Dickerson. Look at her tagline. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is the first time we've had a double tagline, which means she's pretty busy. And she says, "I have a passion to serve and a purpose to save." Wow, that's a lot. And we're going to bring her in because we want her to tell you what that means. And we're just going to spend some time. I wish we had the applause track. Chanel, welcome to the Power of Transformation.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Paula, for having me to have this candid conversation, for me to be able to share with the world like who I am, what my passion is, and my purpose. As you mentioned, my name is Chanel Dickerson. I am a retired Assistant Chief of Police of the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. I spent over 30 years in law enforcement. For almost 4 years, I was the highest ranking woman on DC Police Department in the nation's capital. I retired last year in June, and it's so fitting for me to be here this evening on the power of transformation because I knew I needed to transform my mind and my heart when I decided to retire last year. I spent over 30 years. That's almost my entire adult life
Wow.
at one job, like serving the public. And I decided early in life that I wanted to be a police officer when I was 9 years old. I was born in, yes, 9 years old. I was born in Danville, Virginia. There was one African-American police officer on the police department at that time. And I saw how he engaged in the community. And I knew that I wanted to be that for my community, be someone to protect and serve my community. So my mom moved us to Washington, D.C., and I joined the police cadet program at D.C. Police Department when I was 17 years old. 17 years old. So I knew, I stayed the course from 9 years old to 17 years old. And when you have grown up in an impoverished community, sometimes your environment is stacked against you.
Yes.
You know, people have counted you out before you even get a chance to make your mark in the world. And that was so important for me, for the police cadet program to change the trajectory of my life. I knew that I wanted to help the community,
Yes.
a community of violence, poverty. And I wanted to do all of those things. Right. And so I go back to me retiring in June, and it was like, what's next? Right. You think about it. A woman that has spent over 30 years, like, what's next? I decided that I wanted to empower other women.
I'm so
Unfortunately, throughout my career in law enforcement, I never had a female mentor, someone to kind of help me guide or navigate through the law enforcement profession. And law enforcement is a male-dominated profession. Like right now, the national average of women in law enforcement is around 13%. And when I was the assistant chief, at the executive level, we were averaging about 3% nationally of women in that role. So I knew that God had given me that assignment. I was his vessel, or am still his vessel, to reach his people. And I led the men and women on the police department from that premise. And so I retired and said, I'm going to do that for other women, because sometimes women, we don't lift each other up. Like, we tear them down.
That's right.
Instead of lifting them up. And I said, I just want to give other women like the strategies that I use to embody confidence, to get over the imposter syndrome. Because sometimes you don't even realize that you have that. But when you dig a little deeper and look at your perfectionism, or when you have paralysis when it's time to do a presentation,
Yes.
or just feeling like that you're not good enough and everyone is going to discover that you're this fraud.
Right.
So mindset shifting was key for me, because mindset shifting has this, your mindset has this unimaginable way of shaping your life. Because how you think, it really is what you will become or not become, right? Based on your thought process. And so I focused on shifting my mindset to say, I can, I will, and I must. Because often as women, we have like these shackles, right? Shackles, and in the police department, we use them, sometimes, that we put on someone's leg and then on their arms, right? But look at how you're bound by the shackles, right?
Yeah.
So I broke free. I will no longer be shackled. And if I'm not invited to someone's table, I will create my own table. Right? That is right? Create your own table and not wait for someone else to validate you. And that's the whole shifting of your mindset. And I had this presentation the other day, and I have to just jump in to share this because it's important about the mindset. I have a technical assistant that prepare presentations when I go out to present. And I was out presenting, and she texted me before I got there to say, I hope your presentation goes well. And I text her back and said, absolutely it will, because I'm going to show up to do the best I can. And if whatever happens that may not be my best, when I walk away from it, I'll adjust it for the next time.
There you go.
Unbeknownst to me, I would get there and we had technical difficulties.
See?
Yeah, exactly, right? But because she had texted that, and my mindset was like, oh no, it's going to be great. I'm going to be great. I'm just going to show up and do my best. And that was phenomenal for me. And I encourage not only women, but men, just people, because we're all going through our own challenges in life, like just trying to navigate this thing called life. So give yourself a little grace and just say that if I don't meet my mark this time, it's always another opportunity.
Yes.
The other part for me is setting healthy boundaries and what that looks like. Because I often say I determine how people treat me by not establishing boundaries. If someone wants to talk to me at 10 o'clock at night and I know I need to be in bed by 9, then I need to say, I can call you tomorrow. Instead of allowing someone to keep me up past my bedtime, and now my whole schedule the next day has been derailed because I didn't get enough sleep.
Right.
So
Right.
it's okay to say no
Mm.
and not worry about, Dr. Paula, how the other person feel about your no.
I'm taking notes. I'm like scribbling, taking notes so that
Yeah.
I can. I'm trying to ask. I'm trying to think of all of the. Every time I think about a question, you answer it,
That
which is
I
really
come with it
cool.
in reference to something else. And it's just important about, I covered mindset, then
Yes.
healthy boundaries, and then establishing meaningful relationships. Because we all know, like, there's some relationships that we shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
should no longer have them. And just because you've had relationships for 30 years, it does not mean that you still need to have that relationship now, because you should have grown. And sometimes the people around you, we don't grow at the same pace.
That's
And
true.
it's okay that people don't have the same role that they used to have in your life. And I think that's what happens to us, that we don't want to let go. We tell our dreams to the wrong people.
Right.
They are firefighters, because as soon as we ignite the passion in us, they got that hose and they're putting out the flame. And so we just have to be careful about that and the negative self-talk, because we will talk ourselves out of the best ideas from meeting your goals and your dreams, because you really believe, who would listen to me? Why would
Mm.
they want to listen to me? And
Mm-hmm.
I shared a little bit earlier that every time I do a presentation, I have to get my mind right. It's just something I have to do, because self-doubt, although I have had an accomplished career, I am grateful to God that I was able to retire.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had met my educational goals, but now I'm going back for my doctorate. So maybe not, maybe not, right?
Very
But
good.
even with all of that, I still have to prep before
Mm-hmm.
it. And it doesn't take away from who I am, what I'm bringing to the table. I know that every time that I speak, that I'm touching someone's heart. And I always look at the power of one. I can't worry about the 100 people that's in the room with me. I'm worried about that one person who's going to take something that I said and know that they are good enough and go for whatever it is that they want in life. Because that's really what keeps us from success, because we're fearful. We're
Right.
paralyzed by fear to take a chance. But I am here to tell you today, don't allow fear to paralyze you. It's okay that if you get it wrong, I always say that every day I have breath in my body is a new day for new opportunities.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. What you've said to date, to this point, makes so much sense and is so encouraging even to me. I'm taking notes. I'm sure other people are taking notes. Thank goodness it's recorded, because you've talked about mentorship. You've talked about sometimes we don't support each other, and women don't really know how
Yeah.
sometimes to support each other. And we could stay there for the rest of the show, and setting boundaries and all of these things are so important to growth, to moving forward, and to the transformation. So
Yes.
now you're on this new journey, Chanel. You're on this new journey.
Yes.
How's that working? Just talk to me about that new journey.
It's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I have met some amazing women from all over the country. And I'll talk a little bit about my book project, Uncuffed Voices, Her Story is My Story, where it is myself and 18 other women in law enforcement. They have shared a collection of their stories, their lived experience of strength, hope, and triumph to inspire, motivate, and empower other women.
Mm-hmm.
So we just finished that project. The book just launched in August, and I'm off to the next thing. And I can tell you this, I come from a humble place, right? I
Mm-hmm.
come from this place that when you know your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't worry about the distractions. And this is where it comes in. My passion was to serve, because I served and protected the community, and I still give back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
But saving is something totally different. I want people to understand and embrace who they are, Be okay with being authentic and transparent, and really understand that everyone has their own struggles, because what happens, we think sometimes that it's only us.
Right.
Like
Right.
I look at you, Dr. Paula, all put together and say, oh, she definitely couldn't have the same concerns that I would have, right? And you look at it, I know, I see your eyes like, what, girl?
What?
We both women. You know I have issues, just like you have issues.
Absolutely.
And that's the main point of my business, is to really help women and girls overcome limiting beliefs and self-doubt. Because when we remove the limiting beliefs and self-doubt, women are unstoppable. It's nothing that we can't do. I mean, even in my former profession, we bring this unique perspective. And I think that our male colleagues who leave us out of the room sometimes, or if we're not at the level to be in the room, I
Mhm.
challenge them today is to invite women in your board meetings, because
Mhm.
they'll give you a different perspective, I guarantee you, that you didn't think about. And
Mhm.
so that is how I started on the journey of empowering girls and women, because I was a girl at one point that grew up to be a woman. And I think that I know I have to do my part, because that's what life is about. You're supposed to do your part to make this world a better place. You're supposed to set the tone for the generation that's coming behind you,
Mhm.
because our young people are not the vision for the future. They're our vision for now. And so
Absolutely.
we have to show them, or give them the tools to help them navigate a lot of things. And I didn't have social media, growing up. So our young people now have to navigate social media and what
Mhm.
cyberbullying means to them. And so I jump into that area as well, to try to tackle every area of someone's life, whether it's their education, careers, relationship, finances, because like some of us, we need some help. Financial literacy is huge for
Yes.
our success, and whether we want to start our own business or just navigate through your personal finances, or just getting your head above water. So my programs offer that, and I'm excited about it, because I get testimonies from people that I've changed their lives. And I never looked at myself as someone that would actually change someone's life. But when God spoke to me many, many years ago, to remind me, because he had to remind me that everything that I have and who I am is all because of him, right? And when you
Absolutely.
really know that,
Absolutely.
you really know that, because we say it. And sometimes I look at it to say, is it a cliche when you say that you trust and believe and you have faith, but then I can't go to sleep? I have insomnia because I'm worried about everything.
Right.
But do
Right.
I have faith?
But do I have faith?
Do you really have faith?
Yes. Do I really trust him?
Yes. And so I'll ask you this. There's a promotion at work, there's a grant for your business that you really want, and you see how it can change lives, but another woman gets it instead of you. Can you truly embrace her and be happy for her
Right.
success? And that's something you really wanted, right? You see what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
something, Dr. Paula, that you really wanted. That's the test. Can you truly be happy for someone else when they get something that you really wanted to have?
That is definitely a test.
Yes,
Would be a test.
yes,
However, if you really trust God, Chanel, you know what I'm getting ready to say. He has something for you.
yes,
He did not leave you out of the plan. Jeremiah 29:11 confirms it. That
yes,
was her time.
yes.
Now you just need to get ready for yours. Now you got me stirred up. So keep it going.
Yeah. I know, because we need to believe that. We need to be reminded of that, because sometimes we see things and we look outward, and it's that negative comparison. And I talk a lot about that in presentations with other women, is not only negative self-talk, but that negative comparison, because you don't know what someone has had to do to get what they have. Like, so just look at it like you versus you, because I always
Right.
look at things me versus me, and I just try to be the best version of myself the next day. And that's it. I can't look at, like Dr. Paula has the power of transformation and how great that is. And so now I want the power of something, right? No, no, no. That's Dr. Paula's lane. And I'm
Yeah.
going to allow her to be successful and shine bright in her lane. And I'm going to stay over here in my lane. And what that is being a law enforcement strategist, a coach for women. And someone asked me, well, your title is a law enforcement strategist, but how does that tie into girls and women in the community? Because law enforcement officers make up the community. It is no us versus them. It really is like us together, and we have to work together. And even if a woman or girl who is not in law enforcement today, she may be in law enforcement tomorrow. And the same things that we go through, we're all human beings. And so if I approach it from that standpoint, then I can just have or help with the process, because one person can't do it alone, is making society a better place to live. And we see some of the things that are happening, and it really will take a collaboration to be able to do it. Like, we all have a part. So what's your part? Like, that's what I ask people. Like, what's your part? What's the part you're playing to make society a better place?
Yes. Yes. I love the word collaboration. It's one of my favorite words. And oftentimes people are really difficult. They have a difficult time with collaboration because they really want to shine.
Yes.
And when they see someone accomplish a task, it stirs up that something on the inside that maybe is a hurt and or pain. So it may be difficult for them to allow someone else to shine. I can see them getting connected with you, and you drill down into that place to help them become the best they can be. I can see that. I'm just taking copious notes. I'm already feeling it, trying to figure out how we can stay connected to you and your purpose, because we need that.
Oh, definitely. Because one of my other taglines is confidence is currency. And I always say that I'd rather have confidence over money, because money will come if you have confidence.
If you have
Confidence is not for me, is not that I feel that I'm better than you. It is, I'm just comparing myself to myself. Right? I'm just looking within to say, what do I need to do? Set goals. I am a goal setter. I like to have short, medium, and long-term goals. I like to write it out. And so I can mark out. Like, I know we have technology and we put a lot of things on their phone, but I'm like this pen and paper girl that I want to write it out so I can see myself scratch through it as accomplished. I'm going to tell you, it really makes a difference when you see that you are checking things off of your list. And I also have enrolled in a mental health, because this is back to the mindset piece, as a certified mental health coach, because mental health is important. This month is suicide prevention month. I understand how important it is, coming from a profession where not only did I take my childhood trauma with me into the profession that was unhealed, all of the secondary trauma that I experienced of being on the job. So now what do I do with all that? All that is packed up inside.
Yes.
Right. And so that's why I believe in transparency, because I don't want people to ever look at me and think that everything is all put together. Like, it's some strategies that's in place to get me to the point where everything is all put together. And I religiously see a therapist, outside of my spiritual advisor, but a therapist, someone to be able to unpack some of the trauma and understand what that has done to my personal relationships, my professional relationships, and just to my body, because it affects your health in different ways, unhealed trauma. So it's all of those things that I embrace women with open arms, to be able to have candid conversations, to say, I think that there's something deeper here, right? And to give you a different perspective. If you bring me a problem, I want the solution along with it, but I'm going to dig deeper. I want the root cause analysis. I do a root cause analysis to figure out, like, what's the real issue here? Because my real issue is not because you came home late, and what's the deeper issue here?
Right.
And so that's what we have to do for each other. We have to love each other enough to just help each other heal through it and have the difficult conversation. And that leads me to effective communication, because I
Mm-hmm.
am an active listener. I am going to listen to you when you talk. And one of the ways to determine if you're not really active listening, if you're thinking about what you're going to say while the person is talking. So I'm gonna let you know that right now, right? We're not actively listening because your brain is processing what they said, and you're processing like, okay, well, my response is going to be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for that. And so I am a active listener because I want to effectively communicate, because I think the lack of effective communication and inability to resolve conflict destroy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get all of that, if I could box this up or put it in a bottle, even with emotional intelligence, like to really own how you feel about a situation and work deep within
Yes.
to figure
Absolutely.
out if any situation is a situation where, let's say you have a conflict,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy for me to point outward and say, well, this is what Dr. Paula did, or she said this, and
Right.
this is how she made me feel. I stop and look inward to say,
Mm-hmm.
how did I show up? And it doesn't take away from what you did or did not do, because I'm not focused on that at the moment. I'm focused on, how did you show up, Chanel? What did you say? Is it
Mm-hmm.
anything that you could have done or said differently that could have affected the outcome? It does not mean at all that I'm taking
Mm-hmm.
responsibility for the entire conflict. I am
Right.
owning my own part in it. And I
Right.
think that if we start there, like within, we can only reach greatness outside of us.
Wow.
I know, right?
Okay. You said something about emotional intelligence. Another, just you, just really touching the heart of what transformation really means. I really appreciate everything that you said. Emotional intelligence is a little difficult for someone if they're hurting.
Yes, it is. No,
It really,
absolutely.
it really is. It keeps the person from really looking at their part
Yeah,
of the conversation or the problem. So thank you for, oh, you can just repeat all that.
yeah.
Emotional intelligence is an area where we need to really take time to study.
Yeah, we really do. And that helped me because I am a servant leader, and I was, and in my profession, and I own my own part. Like, although I was at one point, the highest ranking woman there in the agency, I had to look at how I showed up, how I was reacting to stress, how I interacted with the people on my team, or how I showed up when things happened, in the community, what that did to me. And if once I own that or own my feelings from that, only then could I really be the leader I was supposed to be. Yeah,
So, yes, so we're talking about relationships.
yeah,
Everything that you've said today, tonight, talks about relationships and having those healthy relationships, how you show up, how you interact with your team, how vulnerable you are, how you solve your problems. All of that is key. So, now let me ask you, how do you take care of yourself?
I know, right? I know that's a lot.
Yes.
For many years, probably maybe about 17 years, um, I had a running group that I met them at 5 a.m. every morning. It was 5 days a week. It was an exercise group, and we ran on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we did strength training on Tuesday and Thursday at 5 a.m. outside in Washington, D.C. for probably about 17 years. I'd say 17 years. I've adjusted a little bit to that schedule since I retired because I don't have to get up at 4:15 in the morning. But exercise is crucial for my mental health. And you got to know what that is for you, right? And
Right.
although sometimes we exercise for our cardiovascular health, if we want to lose some weight, but it helped me process the things that I had seen and heard, and it prepared me for the day ahead. And so
Mm,
it was so important for me to do that. I had a natural path. I still have her for many years, that I wanted to look at the holistic approach to my childhood trauma and how my police work was triggering my childhood trauma. And so I realized I really had to get to the bottom of what was happening or what had happened in my childhood in order for me to have like successful relationships, personal and professional. And massages, just taking time to, read, the ability to say no, because that was really hard for me. I have to say that.
Really?
Although I say I wasn't a people pleaser, and now that I'm talking through it, of always wanting to be the person to be there for everyone, and sometimes you just can't, and it's okay, because I often say that I am not. I am an option, not the only option. And
Right.
when you're able to say no, you will realize that someone has another option. It's not just you.
Okay, I'm leaning in because I told you when I lean in, I have something to ask again.
Okay.
You are saying to me that you're not the only option, that there are other options. There are people who are not comfortable with not being the option, and they wear themselves out because they want to be the one and only for people. And they forget that they are human. But I also have to remind myself and those people, God is our creator. He will create someone else.
Yes. He's already created someone else. You just don't know about him. Yes.
So, newsflash, he is the creator and he's already created them. So he wants you to embrace the fact that, you can lay back just a little bit and let someone else have their turn.
Yes.
Why is that so difficult for us, Chanel, to let someone else have their turn?
It goes back to something that you said, you talked about, that we all want to shine. We all want to feel important, validated. That's where the limiting belief and self-doubt comes in. And we need someone to say, I could always call on Chanel, or, Chanel is always there for me. And so how does that make me feel? But I told you, we have to really dig deep and find out what happened along the way, because
What
something
happened?
happened along the way to make you feel that you need validation from other people.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that's huge for us to do that. It is not easy. By no means am I here suggesting at all that we're going to end this show and then everyone's going to be able to go and tell people no. No, sometimes you're going to say yes. A lot of times you're going to say yes, but you know the times that you should say no. Like that thing that's in the pit of your stomach that's turning, like your gut, that intuition, that all of that of saying, I am going to be stressed out. I do not have time to do this. I really need to pass this on to somebody else. It's all of those things. That is when it's telling you to really just say no, not at this time. And it doesn't mean you can't ever help them or ever do whatever it is someone asking you to do. It's just not right now. And I heard something the other day, and I really have to repeat it because it resonated like in my spirit, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
it was about a woman being strong and powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about being strong, and that means that you can carry everything that comes your way because you're strong. You can hold it, right? But powerful means that you get to choose what things that you carry. And it was a whole little segment on it, but it resonated with me because I've always prided myself of, I am a strong Black woman. I have achieved all of these things in a male dominated profession, where people didn't want me, in rooms. And I broke down so many barriers and paved the way for so many other women, in a profession where if you showed emotions, it was a sign of weakness. So then you pride yourself on that of being strong, and now you're out of that arena. So how do you really take care of yourself once that's no longer a part of your life? Do you allow yourself to be vulnerable? Yeah.
Good question. Good question. And how do you allow yourself to be vulnerable?
Yes.
You're going to have to unpack it bit by bit,
Yeah.
by bit, by bit. How am I going to be vulnerable? Now I'm in a new space. Now I've transformed. You're saying a lot, and it's really important because you are evolving. It's a new day.
Yes. It is. And here, the power of transformation for
Transformation.
me to be transparent. I just think that I can't hone in to that. I mean, and people are talking about it a lot, whether it's in law enforcement of other areas of life or authenticity, like what that means. And if I can give well, I can give more than one piece of advice, but one of the piece of advice that has helped me is staying true to who I am and understanding who I am and
Yes.
know that I am good enough. I can't say that enough, right? Because if you just start there, whether you have to say that affirmation every day, put stickies on your mirror of positive things that you need to say about yourself and stop looking to the left and to the right. Just look within. Because when you do that, you allow yourself to be vulnerable. I don't have to pretend. I don't. I understand that there will be some people that will not like everything that I say or everything that
Right.
I do. I am going to focus on the people that I'm here to serve and to save.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what I love about it is the fact that you're reiterating that we weren't here to have everybody like us.
Yes,
That's not your purpose.
yes,
Your purpose is just to be who he's created you to be, and
yeah,
and your purpose.
yeah,
What I absolutely love, I'm still stuck on the 9-year old,
yeah, yeah,
conversation
yeah,
that you had with yourself that you were going to do this for the rest of your life. You did it, amazing role model, and now you're doing more to help us. We need you. We need you. Something has been kind of rolling around in my head about how we support Black women who are hurting and they're reacting out of their pain.
yeah,
You've dabbled and danced on it and touched it. And I believe that what you're doing can help us with that. If we're reacting from our pain,
yeah,
that's a different kind of face from someone who's not reacting from their pain.
yes.
What does that say to you when I make that statement?
Ooh, um, it actually just reminds me of not only giving myself grace,
Yes.
but giving other women grace.
Yes.
Like if
Yes.
we can start from that point, because you hit the nail on the head. Like when you are hurting, how someone shows up is different from someone that's not responding from hurt, right,
From
or
her.
from
Yeah.
trauma. But if you approach this situation to give everyone grace, to start there, then you could actually turn someone's day around, help them turn their lives around if you don't take offense to whatever it is that's happening. And that's not really easy.
It's not.
No, that's not easy to do. Like we get offended, and we are reacting like to our pain. And it took me a while. I have to be honest with you. It took me a while, like to really dissect it. I think I've just grown in life and
Hmm.
just being overcoming low self esteem that I've had right in my
Yes.
life
I,
of really being able to own that and say, hey, this is what you're experiencing. So I know if I have experienced this, there's some other women who have experienced this same thing. And so that's why I am forming this sister circle to say that when you are up against barriers or challenges, that you're not alone, that we
yeah.
have this sister circle that you can reach out. And it's going to take some work. It's going to take some work with some tools and strategies that you have to work at every day to overcome it and to live your best life, because we all deserve to live our best life, Dr. Paula. We all
Yes.
deserve to win. It's over 8 billion people in the world, over 300, last I checked, 300, over 334 million people in the US.
Yeah.
So it's really enough for all of us to win.
It's enough for all of us. It's enough for all of us. So if we could just put that on our sticky note, there's enough for
Yeah.
all of us. And if there's enough for all of us, I don't need to steal from anybody else.
Yeah.
I don't need to take from anybody else.
Yeah.
I just need to realize that my slice is there and my time is there.
Yeah.
And that's a comforting feeling. And you might have to say it every minute, on
Yeah.
some days, every 5 minutes, every hour, because that's how we have to build that level of truth, because that's what sets me free.
Yes.
being able to have that truth serum that says there's just enough. You don't have to worry about taking from anybody else. Wow. How can we get in contact with you? You know you're going to have to come back, right? So you're going to have to tell me your schedule over the next, few weeks, because the things that you've said, I've tried to write them down, but we need to know how to get in contact with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Again, my IG handle is I am Chief Chanel, and my website is chiefchanelspeaks.com.
Perfect. We need to know a little bit more about the book. I know that you glossed over it, and I let you just talk over it. We'll definitely need to know a little bit more about that because we want to read it. And I can't tell you how proud I am to have you as my role model. I mean, just the things that you've said, and what you don't understand is that I've had some conversations within the past couple of weeks, and you've hit on the majority of the points of the conversation. And just to have you come back and reiterate it says that it was a message that God wants all of us to hear in our transformation. It's the daily process, Chanel.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that's what we have to know. But on to my book. It's our book because it is a collaboration. See, that's that word again that you said that you like, right? Yeah. So it's Uncuffed Voices. Her story is my story. I am the visionary author, and there's 18 co-authors, and it's 18 chapters in the book where ladies in law enforcement, a diverse group of ladies in law enforcement from law enforcement agencies in different states, have collaborated together to create this anthology of their lived experience. And they are some brave women, brave and transparent, that they were able to rally with me together and be honest about their experiences in law enforcement, trying to navigate motherhood. But it's more than just women in law enforcement, because it's women. It's our challenges that we face in life, trying to balance careers and motherhood. Right. And so they dig deep. They take off the mask and let you know, but then they give some great takeaways of how they were able to navigate different things, some pointers, because that's what I go back to my point earlier, is that is what the world is about, of us making it a better place for all of us. So why should you have to make the same mistakes or go through the same trials and tribulations that I have? If I've already went through them, at least I can give you 10 pointers to say, if you run into this, here are things to do for that. And maybe you can navigate things differently. And so that's what the book is about. We are trying to, and we are going to empower and inspire and motivate women. We've had men supporters who have bought the books. My therapist actually said he was inspired by the book, and he's a man. So everyone is reading that book. We are #1 bestseller on multiple categories. I think it was 26 categories last, and international #1 international bestseller. So it is a must read. You can get it at Amazon or Barnes and Noble or uncuffedvoices.com.
Uncuffed Voices. Yes. All right. Wow. All right. So of course we're running out of time.
Yes.
So many wonderful things have been said. I'm so glad you decided to join us. And as I said, look at your calendar, because we're going to have to come back, because there's some specific points I want you to reiterate.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so nicely into the show, into the meaning for the power of transformation. Yes. And Chanel, you know what I say at the end of every show? That you have to trust the process in order for the power of transformation to do its perfect work in your life. You have to trust it, because there is a plan for you. And I trust it. Do you believe it?
Oh, I absolutely believe it.
Well, thank you so much. We'll see you again really soon. You've been a great hostess, and I'm so proud of you. I'm thankful for you for that decision you made at 9. That was just your purpose, and that was his plan. Yeah. So we're at the end. Thank you for joining us. Aren't you inspired? She'll be back. Trust the process. It's going to work. Have a good one. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody. Take care. Thank you.